Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the show. This is another Friday 15 episode on the Design Your Thinking podcast, and I'm your host, Karthik. We are talking about a topic that I have personally been very close to, and I've been kind of reading a lot on in the last couple of months, and that's called productivity. Well, as product makers, you know how much we struggle with keeping ourselves completely productive all the time. At least I've had a big challenge with this the minute I started to take up too many projects. Well, one thing was to definitely cut down projects, but then the most important thing I realized is about managing this whole productivity conundrum that I was in, and I really went out seeking for a lot of tips. As you know, in the Focus 40 episode, we talked to guests to understand how they keep themselves productive. And a lot of these insights that my guests have shared has definitely helped me in staying productive. But there were a bunch of other things that I went on and picked up from a lot of other sources as well. If you've read some of my writing in the past, you know how much I look for these hacks, and I can't wait to share some of this with you. So today, I'd like to share 10 different productivity hacks that has helped me a lot in the last 2 to 3 months. So without much ado, let's jump right into the show. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is what I call as going physical. If you listen to Christina Watke back in episodes 72 and 73, I think she talked about going physical. I mean, in the sense, trying to get out of the laptop or your iPhone and try to use stuff that are more physical, because that she says she found very beneficial, and I've started to do that as well. So the first step is about starting to use a timer that's not inside your computer. Well, I used a Pomodoro timer in the past, and I really started to see a lot of benefits with that. But then over a period in time, what happened is this psyche inside me of trying to overpower this Pomodoro timer started to take over the better of me, and then I started to see myself really ignore, so to speak, that Pomodoro timer that I had. And what I did is I started to use my iPhone. Well, Christina Watke talks about using a cube timer, which is a physical timer she uses on her desk. But then I didn't buy one, but then I started to experiment by using my iPhone's timer. Well, I can tell you one thing, it's worked wonders. So what I really do is, before I get into starting an activity, I have a fixed timer of 30 minutes, so I just turn it on. So whatever I do, if it's recording a podcast or it could be anything else. Well, if it's recording a podcast, I don't really use this. But then if I'm doing any other thing, like it could be writing a blog post or spending time reading about SEO or whatever it is, I just turn on the 30-minute timer. So end of 30 minutes, I just take a check as to where I am with this activity. And if I'm done, I just move on. Or if I'm close to done, even then I just move on. But then if I'm not really done, I reset the timer and again go take the next 30 minutes. That's worked wonders. The second tip is to turn off notifications. Well, I've been extremely distracted with social media. Not just social media, in fact, emails. Well, as you probably heard me talk about in multiple episodes, the number of emails that I started to get from my guests has gone from 5 to 10 emails to now 50 to 60 approximately every week. So it's very tough. Now, it's not just guest mails, but then there are so many other emails. I have mails going with so many other different people, and this keeps popping up into my phone every now and then, and it's extremely disturbing. And I also have all these notifications turned on from Facebook, from Twitter, and all those different social media apps, and they were just sucking my time. So what I decided to do is, first off, decided to turn off these notifications, number one. Number two, I also decided to turn off the badges. In my iPhone, if you're using one or any other app, you will actually see a small badge, a small number that shows up under emails. Now, that was extremely distracting for me, so I turned that off as well. So if you look at my phone, well, you will not see any of these red marks showing 300 emails or 3 notifications or 10 notifications whatsoever. So it's clean. So I just use my phone for checking my SMSs if I get one, or those notifications are still on, or I receive calls. The third tip I'd like to share with you is about wearing headphones. Now, since I've started to consult, I go back and visit my clients, and what I've seen is when you visit your clients, what you're working with teams, there are times when you need to spend time thinking about something or doing something yourself. Now, what happens is people stop by. Now, I've shared this tip back in my ebook, The 30-Day Product Mission, but then this is a tip that I got from Tim Ferriss, back in his 4-hour work week. And the best way to get yourself some time, uninterrupted time, is wear a headphone. Just wear a headphone and keep working. People just think twice before they come and try to disturb someone wearing a headphone. That's the trick. The fourth one is plan your day in such a way that you don't need to think about what to do next. And the best way you can do this is by planning your day the previous night. And what I've also started to do is I've started to plan my week on a Sunday night. Now, this works extremely great because I, was finding myself, like I said, doing too many activities. And what happens then is the brain gets into a mode where it wants to know what to do next. And when you're in the flow, you just cannot pick the right activity because sometimes the priorities are something that the brain doesn't sense when you're actually in the flow. So what I do these days is I plan my days before on the previous day night. So I take 15 minutes to quickly write down the to-dos for the next day, and I actually go back, and if I have to plan the week, I go on a Sunday night. I spend about 50-30 minutes depending on the kind of work that I have. I spend that time to prioritize that week. Now, Christina Wodke, again back in episode 72 and 73, talks about using OKRs to do this. And I have actually started to try this out, and I don't have any statistics to prove, but then it's definitely working well. The fifth tip I'd like to share with you is about getting calendar invites. As these product people we end up living by the calendar, so to speak. So what happens is every time someone sends a calendar invite, we tend to accept the invite. One tip I'd like to share with you is, again, I shared this back in my ebook, The 30-Day Product Mission. Don't really accept invites which do not have an agenda. Even if there is an agenda, what I'd really like to do is go get in touch with the one who's organized the meeting and get to understand what they really expect from me. Sometimes it's just a 5-minute or 2-minute thing that you just can get done and save yourself from that meeting. I know how horrible meetings can get because they just go on and on. So by spending that 5 to 10 minutes with the organizer of the meeting, you can potentially try to get rid of that meeting from your calendar. At the same time, not block that person from some input that you had to give. All right, that's number 5. The sixth one I'd like to share with you is about theme days. This works great for me because, as you know, I run the podcast. I do coaching, in-person coaching. I also have started to put together courses, and I put together other learning materials for all of you. So what I really do, I have themed my days. For instance, Wednesdays and Thursdays is when I do my podcast recordings. So if someone has to get on a podcast recording with me, my calendar is open only on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Mondays is typically out for consulting. So Mondays and Tuesdays I typically keep out for consulting. Fridays is a lean day, meaning I don't really block. It's a day that I just keep open, so that I can always do something that has probably slipped from the other days, or something I can do to keep myself creative, keep myself learning, do some new reading or whatever it is. So that's number 6. Number 7 is managing your priorities. Well, I've seen a lot of people advise about managing time. I had tried doing it a lot, but like I said, I've now started to manage my priorities, not my time. So what I really mean is, like I said early on, I plan my week on a Sunday night, my next day on the previous day night, and this planning goes by priority. So I just ask myself, what is the most important stuff that I need to get done, and I just put them in the top. I use post-it notes. I use a lot of different things to actually keep myself productive, especially when it comes to priorities. And I suggest you use a tool that works for you. When I've tried using Trello, it's worked great. It worked great for a long time. And all of a sudden, I started to sense myself ignoring Trello too. So now I've started to use Physical. So I've taken this advice from Christina Watke very seriously. The eighth one I'd like to share is this 2-minute rule that David Allen talked about in his book, which is if you can get something done in less than 2 minutes, get it done. So in that priority list, if you have something that you need to just respond an email by saying yes, just respond it right then and there. If you can't do it, then put it into your backlog and go by the priority. That's number 8. Number 9, managing email. Again, taking this advice from the 2-minute rule from David Allen, what I really do is I use a tool called Boomerang. Now, if there is an email that I can respond to immediately, I do respond. But then if something is important but not urgent, what I tend to do is I use this tool called Boomerang to get that mail come back to me in a time that works for me. So what I really do is I have divided my entire week into days when I actually respond emails and into days when I actually write blog posts, like I said early on, 10 days. But even within a day, I don't really check emails all the time. There's one big difference that's happened to me. So what I do is I have 5-minute slots set throughout the day. And in these 5-minute slots, I actually check emails, I check social media and all those things. Now, this is a great thing. So combining this with your Boomerang management, what I do is I schedule a mail to come back in that 5-minute slot so that I can respond to it. Now, sometimes I can't respond to it, so I'll need some time to set. So depending on the kind of email response that you need to do, figure out a good thing to go by. So the other thing is, again, going physical. When I say going physical here, is for taking down notes or putting reminders. So what I've started to do is I started to use something like Moleskine. So what I do is, I actually have something in my hand as I speak. This is the Moleskine I use to take down notes. I don't take down notes in my iPhone. I've stopped doing it because that is really a distraction. And also what I do when it comes to anything like managing priorities and to-do lists, I start to use post-it notes. So if you're actually wondering how my post-it wall looks, you can actually go to my YouTube channel where I'm actually showing this as I speak, as I'm recording this podcast. All right, these are the 10 tips that I want to share with you. But then I really want to give you one last tip that has completely blown away my productivity levels. Now, this is trying to keep myself completely creative. Well, I just love doing sketching. I love a lot of different stuff. So what I've started to do is I've started to take time to paint, to do something, to do origami, or just about anything else. So I really urge you to take time to stay creative. Now, the reason this helps you with staying productive is because it kind of loosens up your mind. I mean, you start to think about a lot of different things that you just could not think about when you are in the core activity of doing stuff. So the minute you start taking time, so this is why I keep my Fridays. My Fridays are days that I really, really love because I do spend time doing a lot of different things. So these are the 10 plus 1 productivity tips that I really want to share with you today. I really, really hope you liked these tips because these are stuff that I have tried in the last 2 to 3 months and it's working wonders for me. And I really, really want you to take a couple of them at least and try them out. Thank you so much for listening in. And if you like listening to these episodes, do subscribe to my newsletter. You'll actually get more stuff there. You can do that by heading over to designyourthinking.com and scroll all the way to the bottom of the page. You'll actually see a button staring at you. Click that guy, and actually you'll be asked to give in your first name and your email address. Do that, and you can you can get me in your inbox if you'd like to think it that way. And of course, if you like these episodes, do subscribe to the podcast. I really want to add value to you as a product guy or a product lady you are, and I really want you to gain from what my guests and these Friday 15 episodes have to offer. So you can do that by heading over to designyourthinking.com designyourthinking.com/iTunes if you're using an Apple device like me, or you can head over to designyourthinking.com/Stitcher if you're using an Android phone. Stitcher is the app that I really find interesting and useful and very feature rich when it comes to listening to podcasts on an Android device. So go to designyourthinking.com/Stitcher and you'll actually find the podcast to subscribe. And please, I would love if you could leave a rating and review for the show. And that's all I have for today. By the way, if you actually heard me talking a little funnily, this is because I'm actually recording this on a camera, and you can actually find this conversation on YouTube. You can listen to it on YouTube, and also check out what I have to show about my creative space. You can head over to designyourthinking.com/TV. Yes, that's the place you can actually get to see me. And also, I would love to hear from you as to how you find the episodes there. Go head over to designyourthinking.com/TV and get to see my workspace. Get to see some of these, some of the stuff that I actually get to do physically here in the studio. And I'd love to engage with you more actively there. Thank you so much again for taking time to listen to this episode. Till I see you in the next episode, stay tuned, stay inspired, keep pushing, keep crushing. Cheers.